Hi, my name is Yasin Guev. Many times on this channel I spoke about negotiations, and I will start with negotiations once again because there are new things around the negotiations around the war in Ukraine and the trade negotiations around the tariffs. There is a slight change in both negotiation processes. So if we speak about the peace negotiation with Russia and Ukraine, they have kind of stalled, and it looks like the narrative coming from the White House lately is that they're waiting for direct contacts between Ukraine and Russia. In other words, nothing is happening. And as I have said many times, the reason for this is pretty simple. The reason is that Russia doesn't want to end the war in any way. It's just doing different stuff to show off that there is some meetings like the ones with the special envoy Steve Witkoff, or saying that there will be a truce for 1, 2, or 3 days. That has not been negotiated, and just saying it, and actually afterwards there is no actual cease of fire on the front line. So nothing is happening there. And the only thing that can push the Russians to negotiate is either a military breakthrough or further economic sanction. In this direction is going the legislation that is proposed by Senator Lindsey Graham. He's a Republican. He's actually, as he's explaining, he's trying to give another weapon in the hands of President Donald Trump in order to negotiate with Russia, saying that whoever buys oil or gas from Russia will be hit with a 500% tariff. This is still in the making in the Senate, and if it gets through, it should get passed also through the House, but it's a sign. The other negotiations regarding the tariffs. As of a few hours ago, there is news coming from China. China is saying that it's evaluating US overtures to initiate trade negotiations. And also, they are saying one and the same thing again and again. And I quote, if the US wants to talk, it should show its sincerity and be prepared to correct its wrong practices and cancel the unilateral tariffs. This is the statement coming from the Chinese government. And this is normal. As I had said many times before, actually US is in the tough spot politically because of the midterms that will be next year, November. And China can wait. And also if they make a concession in the negotiations, this will be bad for the final result. And as they don't face elections and they don't care about elections, you know, the result is that they can wait and wait. And what is happening in the meantime? And now I'm moving to the first 100 days of the administration of President Trump. And I will show you two graphs. Okay, so the first one. It's the Dow Jones index. This is for 1 year. You see that a year ago it was around 38,000. Then for a small moment of time it went about 45,000, and we are again right now somewhere above 39,000. This graph shows currently 40,752, but it's moving up and down, and it's not stable. The other graph that it's also important, it's the dollar against the euro. And as you can see, it's in red, so it's bad for the US dollar. And it shows that the investor trusts more the European economy than they trust the economy of the United States. Now let's move to the situation with the growth. So there was a downward revision of the forecast of the International Monetary Fund for the growth in the US, and it will the forecast right now is for a modest growth of 1.8%. This is compared with 2.8 for 2024. So it's 1% less. We had the data from the consumer sentiment research, which is going down, and it's for April at its fourth lowest level since 1952, and this is all effect of the tariffs. Also, despite the fact that there are some talk coming from the White House about possible trade deals with countries like Japan, South Korea, and India, nothing is happening. By the way, there is talk also in the last few hours coming from the European Union that there is some movement, and that the European Union is thinking about buying 50 billion US dollars worth of liquefied natural gas, LNG, in order to balance the trade with the US. But Maron Šefčovič, who is the head trade guy in the European Commission, says that he's looking towards not removing the 20% tariff imposed in the beginning, that currently is reduced to 10% for stock coming from Europe and going to the US, but totally removing any tariff. What is happening is that containers that are transferred by ships from China to the US stopped coming. And this, of course, will create problems in the near future for trucking, the trucking business in the US. Less containers, less trucks, and of course that will mean a huge problem for every business. Doesn't mean it if it's big or small in the United States. So also what is happening, that truck sales in March were at the lowest level since the pandemic. Tourism also is down. The expectation for higher unemployment are up. So this is the real effect from the policies introduced by the administration of President Donald Trump. What is happening on the ports in China is that many ships actually are waiting for a deal between China and United States. What comes as a data is that sailing from China to the US is down 60% in April. And also that will hit the whole supply chain, meaning we're starting with ships, moving to ports, and then moving to trucks, and then, of course, to any kind of businesses. Right now, I want to quote somebody who is Ryan Peterson, founder and CEO of the worldwide logistics and shipping platform Flexport. And as he's dealing with transport, his words are very important. You remember that there is a fee that was introduced on every container coming from Chinese ship. And here is the quote from him. That means the companies that operate the ships, if they own a single Chinese ship anywhere in their fleet, or if they have ever ordered a ship, but it has not yet been delivered from a Chinese shipyard, then they'll have to pay this fee on all their ships every time they make a call at a US port. And it's a very high fee, about $500 US on every container. Asked about what people think, he's saying that they are frustrated. He's saying, this is direct quote, if you have an option to produce elsewhere, people have been pursuing that for a decade or more because Chinese labor costs are much higher. People are making more money If you're just looking for cheap labor, China hasn't been the go-to spot for a long time, but the tariffs are accelerating that. So last cycle, it was mostly targeted at China. So people felt, let me go set up in Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, Mexico, Peru. We've seen it all. Now I think people are a little bit paralyzed. There is a little bit of paralysis setting in because supply chain decisions tend to be long-term, multi-year. Like you're setting up a new factory relationship, new logistics network. A lot of people are kind of paralyzed, waiting for the other shoe to drop and figure that out. It's very interesting. Even people who voted for Trump and then they're like, oh, actually this is hitting my business pretty hard. I'm not sure I like this. So it's a mixed bag. So you see that people on the ground actually understand the real situation, and it's really tough. And also, the same guy is saying 20 years ago, for every 100 containers that were coming into the country, 80 would go back with goods in them. Today, it's 30 and 70 containers are just going back truly empty. So if you see these big container ships, you're near a port, take a look. If it's sailing outbound, you see all those containers, 70% of them on the way out are just empty containers. You see that the situation is tough, and that's why I think we will see some movement till the end of the 90 days, that extension that was given by the President of the United States. And we will see many deals, if not in those 90 days, a little bit after that. I think that these 90 days can become 110.20, 110.50, and so on and so on. It's particularly not clear when things will happen, and the different parties, the different countries will sign a new trade agreement. And I will finish with something that is concerning also Bulgaria, where I'm from, and Serbia. As part of the whole mess around the negotiations for the peace in Ukraine, actually there was a deal in place that never got finalized for selling the refinery owned by Lukoil in Burgas in Bulgaria. And now there are no news about the sale, because this is part of the larger deal and the trade negotiations between Russia, US, and Europe. Nothing is happening also in Serbia, where the sanction against Gazprom, that is a majority shareholder in the refinery in Serbia, the major refinery, and also they own a lot of gas stations. What happened there, that they were put in the sanction list, but they got an extension for 30 days and 30 days, and because nothing is clear, the last extension from this situation is not 30 days, but it's 60 days, which is just a clear sign that the US doesn't know what they will do with the sanctions, and that's why they're prolonging them, the extension of the so-called grace period. And nothing is happening also with the push to get the Russians out of ownership in the refinery in Serbia. I hope that this was interesting. See you next week.